morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again doing what I do, walking along in beautiful locations such as this on cold and misty days out here in Suffolk in the UK, and give you my thoughts on everything that's happening in the world in the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome. This is what I do. I hope you enjoy it. For your returning subscriber, all 861 of you I think there are today, welcome one and all. Thank you very much for being here. It's really is a privilege for me to have so many people join me for these walks, so thank you one and all. So today we're going to be discussing something that's unique to the UK, which is what's happening here. I've been asked, what's happening in the UK? You need to tell us. We can't rely on the news to tell us what's happening. So I'm going to give you the interpretation of what's happening here, my take on what's happening. How's that? Rather than what the the political media propagandists would tell you. Okay, so there is a lot happening here, a lot. I'll try and sort of touch on everything. If I miss anything, please don't hesitate to drop it in the comment section down below, because there's a lot more going on than I'm privy to. Anyway, so where do we start? Okay, well, let's start with the Rona, the Cov, whatever the cool kids are calling it now. I'm not sure, I'm not one of those cool kids, obviously. So for the last 2 years, we've been rolling lockdowns and mask mandates and all sorts of stupidity that goes along with this kind of nonsense and propaganda. So recently, last week, our illustrious Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who's as useless as a chocolate teacup, decided that the government has said that they're going to drop all restrictions and mandates for here in the UK in the middle of winter, in the middle of a pandemic, or the worst pandemic in history, apparently. So there's been lots of questions as to why that's happened. And we're going to touch on a few of those today, because there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye, okay? Now, we have to go back a little bit before Boris Johnson was in power, okay, to understand where we are right now. We had a former Prime Minister, what's her name, Theresa May, who had the emotions of a brick, had the dance moves of maybe a dead cat, just the personality of a dead dog. I mean, this woman was seriously the worst thing that ever happened to British politics. Terrible. Absolute, like, the worst thing. I wouldn't have voted for her if she was the only candidate in the race. Terrible human being. Terrible. This is this is the same woman, right, who was running the country, who was telling everyone medical cannabis is bad. All cannabis is bad. Medical marijuana, of course, is so many positives to it. It's classed as a Class C drug in this country. I think you can still get busted for it. It's not. But yet her husband was running a medical marijuana plantation legally, but it was still banned here in the UK. Make sense? No? Okay. Now you know why. Nobody likes that woman. Anyway, amongst other things. I mean, the woman was terrible, okay? She was leading the Conservative Party, which is the same party as Boris Johnson. And Boris Johnson was former Mayor of London, who did some good things when he was Mayor of London. I have to credit where it's due. But because of the popularity of him being Mayor of London, even though he is a complete buffoon, he's not stupid. The man is not stupid. He is a political survivor. He is a rampant sexual demon, and apparently he's got like 7 kids to different women, and the man's he's a monster. But anyway, he came into power because he got rid of Theresa May through party. You know how it works in politics. You get people to back you, you get in the position, you've got to do some favours for people, and here we are. So Boris takes over after being London Mayor. Now, the reason I mentioned Theresa May, when she stood down, she did a speech before number 10. I would have had a lot more respect for her if she'd she did, taken the Japanese officer way out of leaving office, just hippoku or something, I think it's called. Something like that. I would have had a lot more respect for her if she'd left office during that. But no, she gets on TV and she says, I'm leaving the country that I love. And he goes off and pretends to cry and walks off. Now, there was rumours in the newspapers and the media that there were death threats against her. I'm not surprised. But you're going to public office and you're going to do things that people aren't going to like, especially in large corporations. Now, so she left office, Boris takes over, okay? The death threats, that there was something coming that was going to be, that she couldn't be in charge for, okay? Something coming that she couldn't be in charge for because the country that she loved, remember? Okay, Boris takes over when President Trump is in power. Now, the idea of what's been going on for a long time, and that the Rona has anything to do with it, like with the elections and everything like that, intrinsically linked. Okay, I don't know whether we can touch on all the points today. We'll try to, but I'm trying to get as much as we can done. But I'm trying to give you a bit of background information as to why things are happening the way that they're happening here in the UK. Okay, so Boris is in power. Trump is in power in the US. The financial stability of the world is based on nothing. It's all fraud. The globalist community, which is, if you haven't seen my video about the emergency broadcast, watch that. It makes sense. Or even the one about TheMatrix, because that explains the world that we live in, the reality that we live in now politically in the world now is the last Matrix video. So if you haven't seen it, watch that. And it sort of gives you background information as to what's going on. All right. Corporations run the world through governments. Okay. The governments are their little puppets on the string. They get elected with promises that they'll do certain things for corporations to make the world work better for them. Tax breaks, whatever it is, incentives, doesn't matter. Corporate world runs the governments, which runs the world, which is overseen by World Economic Forum, which is Davos, where the millionaires and billionaires go and tell everyone how to think, what to do. Trump addressed the UN, Davos, and said, globalism is over. The corporate control of the world is done. You need to understand. So they needed him gone. They needed Trump out of power because he threatened what they wanted, which is a totalitarian world government run through the UN. Are you with me? Okay. Now, that leads us up to coming into the 2020 elections. And what happened at the beginning of 2020? Out of nowhere, predicted by Anthony Fauci that there would be a pandemic of some kind that would hit Trump's presidency before Trump came into power. Fauci said that. There'll be some kind of pandemic. He said that before. Don't believe me. Go and look. Okay? Trump's in power. He's doing all these things to make America great, or whatever it was, doing things in America to improve America's economy and the way they're standing in the world. All of a sudden, this comes out of nowhere and the whole world gets shut down. Okay? Shut down. So the little businesses, small mum and dad businesses, the usual, the high street businesses that the mum and dads run, the little businesses like mine, all shut down. But the big companies, Walmart, Amazon, all these big companies, they could, Tesco, all the supermarkets could stay open, but the little shops, they couldn't. Now, everything is all part of the same thing. This is what I'm saying to you. It's not one thing, it's everything is linked together, which is why I'm telling the story, okay? They need to bring the world economy down to replace it because it is failing. I've been through this before. If you haven't seen the other videos about the world economy coming down, go and watch them. It's all there. They need to bring down the world economy. It's been 50 years since they took us off the gold standard. If you go even by their useless rubbish numbers that they're quoting, 2% inflation a year for 50 years is how much? 100%, right? So they've inflated the currency 100%, which means it's worth nothing, zero. And it's all based on trust. When people lose faith in that currency or the fiat money, then what's going to happen? The financial system is on the verge of collapse. So much debt has been created based on nothing. It's all based on fraud. So we know that the world, the financial markets run from where? From London. It's all the hub. London is the hub. And the military power is based in Washington, and the intelligence and the operational is all based in the Vatican, the 3 city-states in the world. Okay? London's the money, Washington's the military, Vatican is the operational centre. Okay? The intelligence gathering. The Vatican. Indeed. Okay. So now that we've got that established, so we have Boris Johnson is running the UK, acquiescing to Europe, saying, well, he's going to get us out of the EU, which eventually happened. But, you know, it wasn't Boris Johnson that did that. It was actually another gentleman called Nigel Farage, who was an MEP, was a member of European Parliament, who spent 20 years of his life trying to get the UK out of the EU, which wasn't the EU anyway, so we need to clarify that. It wasn't the EU, it's called the EEC, the European Economic Community that the UK originally signed up for, the European Economic Community, which was a trading, it was a system of trade that was set up after the Second World War. So countries that had been fighting in the war, in the Second World War, would be able to trade with each other. So they would have a unified trade agreement, the EEC, European Economic Community, set up after the Second World War. Who was running that? Did the Nazis really lose the Second World War? Are they still running Europe? Okay, so they transitioned from being the EEC back in the past to the EU at some point, which is now writing the laws for the EU member nations. So it's transitioned from being an economic trade agreement to being, we're going to make your laws and rule you now. So Boris got us to leave the EU with a shitty agreement. So we're not really left. There's all sorts of backdoor agreements. Like every single time there is with politics, they're all backdooring each other just to try and get ahead, because it's a political game. It's all a political game, and we're the pawns. So we get moved around, and it doesn't matter if the pawns get sacrificed as long as they win. And they're crony capitalism is what we're working through. Okay. So during this period that we went through the lockdowns and all this kind of nonsense, Boris had his right-hand man, a guy called Matt Hancock. He was the health minister for the UK. Matt Hancock was, during the time that we were all locked down, it was to stay safe and keep everybody else safe, Matt Hancock thought it would be a great idea to have an affair with an aide. As did Neil Ferguson, the original modeler of the graphs that were told us that everyone was going to die. He also went against his own recommendations for lockdown and stepped out on his wife and was having an affair during the period where everyone else was locked down. He said was the only way we were going to get past this. He decided to also have an affair and break the lockdowns. Okay, so that's two, okay? Then what we found out just recently was that at number 10 Downing Street, which is the Prime Minister's residence, on his birthday and Christmas party, they were having Christmas parties during lockdown when they said nobody could meet. So everything that the government's told us to do, they've said, no, well, we don't have to. We're immune. We're different. Remember, remember if you saw my last video, they call themselves the world's elite. I'm not joking. They actually call themselves the world's elite. Now, in addition to the political class, we also have the royalty in this country. Now, the Prince Philip was the Queen's husband, publicly died last year, I think, and a funeral for him. But the Queen has been missing ever since. Left Buckingham Palace last year. No, actually 2020. So I think Prince Philip died in 2020 as well. Queen left Buckingham Palace, hasn't been back since. And we see videos here and there of the Queen doing functions. And we saw one with Bill Gates and who else was there? Boris Johnson. A few other people were at the meeting with the Queen, apparently. Apparently it was the Queen. 99-year-old woman, obviously the most susceptible in our society for what's going on with the Rona, was meeting with all these world leaders and Bill Gates, because he's obviously a world leader, with no masks and no social distancing. So you need to understand the picture that's been painted here. Okay? Lockdowns, people losing homes, people losing jobs, people losing businesses, people struggling, people protesting from day one, people being beaten in the street by police, being instructed to by the government and healthcare professionals, people just losing their minds. But now, before any of this happened, what was the world's focus on? What was everybody talking about before this? Everyone. Mental health. Talking about mental health, talking about depression, all these kind of things. All right? And then what happened in 2020? Lockdown, isolation. Have we had a single moment's chat, even a moment's thought about mental health during this whole crisis? Has it been mentioned? Has the suicide rate been mentioned? Has depression and isolation been mentioned? No, because that's what they're pushing. That's what they want. Do you understand? There's no talk of mental health anymore, is there? It's all about, this is for your health, for your safety. It doesn't matter about your mental health. Okay? So, now we have that picture of what's been happening for the last 2 years, but it's a much bigger story. Okay? We're talking about colonialism going way back. We're talking about is the Queen the rightful person to be sitting on the throne in the first place? Is the Queen even still alive? Now that we've got all that sort of wrapped up in a nice little bow, what's happening right now? Okay, so the Prime Minister of this country is now saying he will commit troops to Ukraine to guard Ukraine's border from Russia. But I thought borders weren't important. I thought you shouldn't defend your borders. That's why the southern border between America and Mexico is wide open. So borders matter, or do they not? Oh, but Russia's building up troops on their border. Are they still within their country? Is that not legal to put troops in your own country to guard your border? Is that not? No? Anyway, so the Prime Minister of this country and the ever-loved, most voted for president ever in history of the whole of the United States, ever, the most popular person ever, Brandon, let's go Brandon, he has also said that he wants to be, for America to be on a war footing with Russia over Ukraine. Now, Russia hasn't done anything in Ukraine. Oh, but they're building up troops. Says who? Says who? The media? Oh, the media trying to push a war? No, the media wouldn't do that. Would they? Thousands of people, tens of thousands of people standing outside BBC headquarters, British Broadcasting Commission, here's the state-run propaganda machine. Tens of thousands of people outside BBC headquarters demanding that the BBC be shut down. We have, now, I have done a video of the emergency broadcast about the subject I'm going to talk about next. I have been in contact with my local police force, the Suffolk Police Constabulary. I have been in touch with the lady who is running the investigation, the solicitor's firm running, or the barrister, sorry, running the investigation, collecting evidence here in the UK. Lois Bayliss office yesterday, I spoke with them, confirmed that this is a real criminal case. Yes, it is going ahead. No, I cannot give you any details. Zero. I have spoken with other people collecting evidence. I don't want to mention their name until they give me such permission to do so. So I have confirmed with the evidence reporters who have been given the evidence to the police in London, and I have spoken with the law firm that's doing that as well. Okay, yes, it is confirmed. Yes, there is a criminal investigation into this country. I spoke with my local police force, and was an intermediary between them and the people collecting evidence, so that the evidence is now being sent to my local police force so they can do their own investigation and work out best course of action, what to take in their jurisdiction, in my jurisdiction as well. So you can, as a member of the public, be in the middle of the evidentiary train. If you need to be, if you don't, you can connect the solicitors and the people gathering the evidence with your local constabulary, because they need to have the evidence in order to act in your local jurisdiction, which is why I'm acting in mine. I said I would follow up with my local police once they've got the evidence to see what I, as a member of the public, can do lawfully, legally. I'd like to stop the program here in my area, but I'm going to work with the law enforcement to make sure that I am acting within the law, because otherwise, if I'm not, then I'm acting in the same way that these criminals that have been doing this have been. Okay, so yes, that is confirmed. So they've dropped all mandates, regulations coming from tomorrow, I think, next day, when the thing ran out. And now they've done that because it's a look over here, don't look here, don't look here, don't look here, don't just look over there. So it's all about a distraction. Everything is distractory. Yeah. So we're looking at war with Russia, war with China. Look over here, don't look here, don't look here. What we need to focus our energy on is the change of the narrative. Watch the change of narrative. It's not just going to happen here, it's going to happen everywhere. Change of narrative is coming very, very quickly. Okay, so they're going to pivot from this is the most terrible pandemic in history to climate change, and we need to have lockdowns for climate change. We're going to have a change in narrative so quickly, no one's going to know what the hell to do with it. And it's all about distract you away from what they've done. The narrative for everything is crumbling, and people are starting to see through it now. Not fast enough for my liking, but it is happening. Let's see, what else have we got? So what else are we dealing with here? The government did loans during business loans during the pandemic that they're having to write off up to about $30 billion of taxpayer money the government's going to write off because it was given to people that shouldn't have had it. Businesses that never needed it, they went and took the money. I've heard rumours of dental firms taking money and investing it to buy investment properties. The entire way, this government's handled everything is as useless as a chocolate teacup or as they're useless. And it's not just one party, it's the entire political spectrum here. And they're all tearing shreds off each other now because they're all pointing fingers at each other to say, no, it was you, no, it was you, no, it was you. They're not going to take the blame. But we all know where the blame lays. As the evidence for all the wrongdoings are coming out, which is political fuckery, we're talking about financial, we're talking about everything. Every single thing that has been done for decades is now bubbling to the surface. We're talking about sex scandals, we're talking about just every single thing you could possibly think that they could do wrong. They've done wrong. And it's not an accident, it is deliberate. Everything that is happening now is deliberate. There's deliberately being done for the end purpose, which is getting rid of the financial system, the current one, introducing their new one, which is their central bank digital currency. So then they have a complete lockdown on your financial, they could know everything you spend money on, where you go, what you do, who you meet with. And if they don't like what you say, you can be cut off from the system. So it is a Chinese form of, the CCP rather, the Chinese Communist Party form of control through the financial social credit score. Social credit score. So if you're a good person, we'll allow you to spend your money. If you're not, if you don't do what we tell you, if you're a bad little person, then we'll just cut you off from the system. Now, I know that some people are going to be out there going, oh, but that's a wonderful thing, Chris, and then we can just punish the people that... Oh, no, please. If you've got that kind of attitude, it's probably best that you just walk away and go and question your reality, because what's happening now is a communist takeover of the world. Or they're trying and failing, because people out there who will not lay down, who will not give in, who will not resist, who will constantly resist, who will not ever give in to this tyranny, are making sure that people around them know, that are noticing what's going on. That's what this video is for, just to say to you all the things that they're telling you, all the things that the propaganda they're saying to you. Oh yes, but this is happening. No, what you need to understand, the idea and the concept of the government and the way that the government's ruled is failing. It's crumbling, and we see through the propaganda. We need a new political process. We need a new political system. We need a new education system. We need new medical systems. Everything that we know is about to break down because it has been influenced by massive corporations, corrupt governments, all the way through. There are good people in the system, but the system has to change. Now, if you are involved in any of the investigations, or if you know anything, if you're working for the National Health Service, or if you're working in the police, or if you're working in any kind of area where you've seen people being injured or die from the program that we're currently living through, that thing where they're sticking things in you, get in touch with the contact address that will be in the description box and the comment section down below. There's a pinned comment, because the exposure is what we need. Once we have the exposure, then we have enough people behind us to be able to push forward and start to change the systems that we lived under for the better, that's going to benefit us all. That's what this is all about. It's all about changing the world, making it better for everyone rather than just the elite or the political class. And yes, we already have new systems that can make things better for us. We have a new financial system based on a decentralized digital assets, decentralized distributed ledger technology, blockchain. We already have systems in place that are better than the ones we're currently using. We just need to be able to have the wherewithal. We need to have that trigger. We need to have that one event that's going to be stop. Let's go in a different direction. That event is going to be the exposure of the criminality of what's been going on through banking, education, politics, every single facet of our society for decades. That's all going to be exposed for the criminality and the corruption that has built it. It's amazing. It's amazing to be part of. So that's the wrap up from the UK today. I hope wherever you are in the world, it's not as bad as it's as being portrayed. As bad as things have been here. Yes, we've had some lockdowns. Yes, look, we're still all good. I don't know anybody that's dead. 0 people. Yes, we've had a little bit tough, but there's been places in the world that are much tougher than what we've got it. But through it all, we've maintained that we'll never resist. We'll always resist. Sorry, I can't get that backwards all the time. We will always resist tyranny. We will stand for our rights in our own sovereignty and say, I do not comply. And I can only wish that more people would do that, because if they do, this stops straight away. Remember, who has the power? We do. If you want to sit there on your bum and do nothing and just complain, then it's going to continue on. If you want to take the reins and you want to do something positive, stand in your own sovereignty and say, I am my own person. I cannot be controlled. I cannot be commanded to do anything. So, what are you going to do? I know what I'm doing. I'm following through, chasing down the leads, doing whatever I can to connect the people that need to be connected to make sure that we can end this and to share this. So if you think this is worthwhile, share it. If you don't, then don't. I don't mind either way. But either way, what you need to do right now is go out into the world, because it is a beautiful, beautiful world that we live in. And we can all make it better through our thoughts, our actions, and our speech, and how we interact with each other. So go out there and do that. Make the world a better place. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. It's a real pleasure for me to be able to walk in these places and to share this with you, because it's awesome. And also just to connect with people. So if you want to drop me a comment, do that. If you want to hit the like button, do that. But no matter what you do today, get out and have a great day and change the world with what you're doing. because we can all do it. All right, have an awesome day. Love you lots. See you all soon. Ciao for now.